You're listening to Turi Writer's She Said What podcast. I'm Turi, along with Marcy Persky. In this installment, it seems to be the week of confessing that your marriage is on the rocks, at least amongst my friends. How do you know if something's going wrong? Based on what I've learned this week, it could be the weather, an app, or an order of pizza. 50-mile-an-hour winds, you say?
55. Ooh. But Sammy Hagar would say, I'm watching these trees and they're just blowing right over.
Ooh. We had tornadoes.
You did?
Yes.
You had tornadoes?
We did. It was like...
In Chicago?
We've had those before.
I know, but it's always like scary when it hits a big city.
Well, they mostly were in the suburbs, but it was a beautiful, unseasonable day. And so we invited some friends to sit in the backyard under the gazebo and have dinner. And we like watched the clock. The spousal unit is obsessed with directions, and now you can add to the pile. And this may be an old age thing. First it was directions. Now it's weather. Now he's obsessively watching the weather all the time. At 8:57, the National Weather Service says that it's going to snow. I don't care. I'm in the house. I'm not going out. You want to go out? Fine, but don't talk to me about it because I'm not going out. Yeah.
That is kind of an old people stereotype.
Yeah, that's him now. According to my phone, and because of the phone, he can obsess about it constantly. According to my phone, at 9:07, there'll be quarter-inch hail. Well, good for your phone. Then don't leave your phone out in the quarter-inch hail. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of a lot of things. Did I mention that 3 of my girlfriends have decided to get divorced and notified me of it this week? I mentioned the last one, but since then, 2 more.
No.
Yeah. And so I mentioned this to the spousal unit, and he looks at me and he says, are we okay? I said, yeah, we're fine, I think. But after the 5th weather report, I just wanted to say, maybe not so much. Fine. Maybe not.
It's cheaper to like drop Xanax in their coffee or whatever.
I don't have a prescription for
just
that.
Enough.
I do not have a prescription for that. But I have found myself.
I'm sure you could find it in any alley.
Okay, so here's what I've been thinking, and I don't know if this is pre-divorce talk or not. Okay, I have found myself thinking when I'm annoyed by, like, for example, the spousal unit deciding to do something that physically should be done by 2 people half his age. And I think it's ridiculous, and he's going to get hurt, and then he's going to hobble around and look for sympathy and several other things. And I found myself thinking, am I just getting in his business, or would it be easier for me to just get a divorce and pay somebody to do the things he's actually doing around here?
Well, I watched this TV show called Snapped pretty religiously.
You have mentioned it. Yes. I don't want to kill him. I wouldn't be killing him. No.
Not cheaper. Well, just put him to sleep then. You don't want to kill him.
Put him to sleep? Put him to sleep? Like Snow White with a poison apple? Just put him to sleep? Okay, what is that? Where does that leave?
I forgot all about the poison apple.
Where does that leave the 7 dwarfs then? Do they have to kiss my husband on the mouth to make him wake up if I need him to, like, take out the recycling? Or can you have many bites of the apple? You should pardon the expression.
You give him a kiss every time you need a chore done.
With my luck, I'd accidentally get the poison apple.
And I want to make this expressly clear.
Yes.
We're talking your husband, not mine.
No, not yours.
We need to make that clear.
Yours is perfect.
And emphasize that.
Yeah, he can eat all the apples he wants. No danger.
Well, no, but he's pretty good.
He is. We like him.
That's what I have to say.
We do like him.
Well, we like yours too.
Well, you feel free. You want him?
So here's our weather fight, okay?
Oh, you have a weather fight. I thought I was alone in this. Okay.
We both look in the morning to see what the weather is going to be, because up here you don't know.
Right.
And Frankie is a carpenter, supervisor, and so it's kind of important to his work.
Right.
To know what it's going to be like out that day.
Yeah.
And it's important to me if I have to go somewhere. So we use 2 different apps on our phone, which are actually the same. But we have like these huge fights because I keep telling him that they're the same app. They just have a different name. Like mine says NWS, which stands for National
National
Weather
Weather
Service.
Service.
And he uses NOAA.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he uses NOAA.
National
N-O,
Oceanographic and
which is,
Atmospheric. Yes. The same damn thing.
yeah, they're the same thing.
Basically. I mean,
exactly.
They're
you
different.
Probably argue about it constantly.
I mean, they're different in terms of things like NOAA is running that little thing that scoots along the ocean floor that doesn't implode, like that vehicle that did a year ago. I mean, NOAA actually has the responsible submarines and submersibles. And as far as I know, the National Weather Service is pretty much up in the air. So I think NOAA has like more of the oceanographic stuff, and the Weather Service has more of the atmospheric stuff, but they've got to meet like somewhere in the middle, like up on a mountain in Arizona. That'd be pretty much neutral territory for them, says the non-meteorologist on this podcast, one of two non-meteorologists on this podcast. Okay, so we had a milestone. We had a milestone in the household today, and I'd like to congratulate any other parents who have reached this milestone, because I didn't realize what a milestone it was until I got there. I was thinking about the household finances, as one is wont to do, and I thought, the small cutie has not lived in this house for 4 years. I wonder if we're still paying to have him insured on the car. Plus, he's over 21 now. So I call up the insurance agent, and they say, oh, yeah, you're paying $250 a year for him to be on your insurance policy. And I thought, well, let's just discuss that with the spousal unit. And I hung up the phone, and I said, is there any reason why he can still drive when he comes home? And the spousal unit said, and so I called back the insurance agent, and then I thought about all the years we've been paying. And I thought about what I could have done with all that money. And so at the same time that I congratulated myself, I kicked myself for not having done this sooner. Because there's no, you know how they always call and say, we want to do an insurance checkup? They only do that if they think there's something more they can sell you. They never call you up and say, we'd like to do an insurance checkup because you're paying for a driver who isn't driving your car anymore, and that would save you $250 a year. Why don't we just take that off your policy? So congratulations to anybody who's been smart enough to figure that out and get their kid to the point where they don't need to be paying for them to be on your insurance policy anymore. Woohoo to you. Congrats.
Along the same lines, but not quite.
Yeah.
I realized last week that I've been paying insurance on Juke Perry, my Nissan Juke, that with the blown up engine that's just been sitting in our driveway for like the last, I don't know how many months. So yeah, I guess if some elk wanted to attack him or something, but yeah, last week I figured that out, and I said, oh, maybe I should call and just cancel that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that it just sort of seems to be getting away from me here. And meanwhile, the spousal unit is looking at the weather forecast 15 times a day. And part of me wants to go, why don't you look at something that if you actually looked at it, you might save us some money around here. We're not running a ski resort. The weather isn't really going to affect us. It's not like at your house. Stop looking at whether or not it's going to hail at 9:05 or 10:03. Go look up our insurance policy. Do something useful with your putzing around.
Tell him to look at mine while he's at it.
I don't suppose you can tell your husband.
Doesn't run
can
off
you
of
tell
there.
your husband to get off your lawn? Is that allowed? Can you say to your husband, get off my lawn?
Only if you're older. Can you say, get off my lawn to your husband?
Oh, well, I'm not older than my husband, so I don't get to say get off my lawn. Bummer.
No, but I do.
Yeah, because you're way
older. I do. But I wouldn't say that. I would say...
You would say, go play in the man cave. That's what you would say.
Exactly, is what I would say.
Yeah.
And he would say, okay.
All right. Well, I'm hoping to make it through the next few days without hearing that any more of my girlfriends are getting divorced. It's been and here's one for you. One of my girlfriends sent me a text saying, not divorced yet. And I thought, what do you mean you're not divorced yet? And I called her up and I said, I didn't know you decided to get divorced. She said, yeah, when I came to see you and we went out for pizza and we discussed my marriage. And I said, well, I simply suggested that you not move across the country because it was just a whim of his to do that. I just thought you should, I didn't want to tell you to get a divorce. She said, well, you didn't. She said, You didn't tell me to get a divorce. I just decided at that pizza. And then I said, but I thought you were mulling it over. She said, no, I decided. And then I didn't have to talk about it anymore, so I could just enjoy visiting you. And I thought, wow, that is two different ways of processing a big decision. Such different ways.
You are a homewrecker.
Yeah, who knew? Yeah,
homewrecker.
I don't know that I should claim responsibility for that. I just paid for the pizza. That's all I did. Yeah.
What's the opposite of a matchmaker?
I think a homewrecker. I think divorce attorney. I don't know, but I'm afraid to buy any of my girlfriend's pizza. I better be careful. Thanks for listening to the Turi Writers She Said What podcast. Since you've made it to the end, you might want to know that my book, She Said What? A Life on the Air, is not only available in print, but now also in complete audiobook form, narrated by me and available on Audible.